No one wants bubbling or cracking in their floors, but it does happen. Nick Dixon from Contract Carpet is here to explain why and what you can do to make sure it does not happen in your home. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, thanks for having me back,
Good
guys.
morning.
It's good to see you.
All right, so Greg, I know that you want to, well, first of all, by the way, you want to make sure that you call them for a free consultation. They'll come and check out your house, and you've got something going on as well.
Yeah, we also offer $250 off any project over $2,500.
Well, there you go. All right, now I know you want to talk about what can go wrong during a flooring installation if not done correctly.
Right. I mean, there's some simple DIY projects where you could do a square of sheet vinyl and not get into too much trouble. But I wanted to talk to Nick about professional installations and what can go wrong and what that looks like and the differences between a professional installation and somebody at home like Clint that, you know, tries to do it himself.
I would
The
screw it
rookie
up.
over here. Okay, let's chat about it. A million things could go wrong if you don't prep properly. Floor prep is the biggest thing you could ever do to make the project go smoothly. There's anything as simple as just sweeping the floor before you start putting new stuff down. That way, any little granules or dirt or whatever doesn't transfer back through.
And that can, what, cause bubbling maybe?
It could cause bubbling. It could cause adhesive not to stick to the ground. It could cause boards or tiles to break if there's something underneath it.
I think we have some photos to show of some actual faux pas that can show our audience really exactly what these things are. So right there, that's carpet installation there, correct?
Yes, and it's a seam in a doorway. And it's a bad seam.
I don't see it at all.
Yeah, so what happened there, I mean, you can always have a seam unravel, especially with a looped product like we're seeing here. But what could have been done is better trimming, of course, to disguise it, and also latex before you put them together. That keeps the seams from actually unraveling.
Now, see,
themselves.
if I did that job, I'd think that was a great job.
But I've watched carpet installers that know what they're doing. I would never attempt to make a seam. That's a doorway that we just saw. That was a transition, right?
Yeah, transition in the doorway. You almost always have them in a doorway.
Now, we've had this, Nick, in our old flooring in our old house before we ever met a guy like you. And, boy, I got to tell you, this is so disappointing when this happens.
Yep. And that could be a number of things. It could just be improper maintenance. Could be being mopped instead of using the proper cleaning supplies. But it could also be a lack of expansion gap up against the walls.
How about a cheap floor, too, maybe? Would that be maybe an option?
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of them don't have the sealant in the gaps that the nicer products have. So if you chintz out, that could happen.
And I know, Nick, you were talking about an actual situation recently where a floor just bubbled up. Can you explain what went wrong there?
Yep, it was a new one for me. A tile floor without a single cracked tile, but the whole family room was just bubbled. And you could bounce on it like a trampoline.
Well, maybe they were a big baseball fan and they wanted to be a pitcher. Maybe the whole living room was
So
just
I
going to
can
be a
imagine
mound.
that's prep, right?
It was prep. We found out after having some guys pull it up and see what was going on underneath that it hadn't been properly adhered to the ground.
Now, I know in just a second we want to get to choosing the right installer and how you choose that, but you've got some things on the table here that we should probably let folks know what we're looking at here.
Sure. I mean, just all the tools of the trade. Everyone knows this is a knee kicker. That's what the carpet guys use to stretch in place.
Only let a professional use that.
Yes, you'll hurt yourself otherwise. But what some people do and what rookies will do is not have the power stretcher. This is more for little hallways, stairs, up against the walls. But the power stretcher here allows you to use a lot of leverage, crank down the entire room, and really get a lot of tension on the carpet so that you don't get wrinkles
So
down
this
the road.
is key.
Yes.
Okay.
So as far as preparation goes, before you make the choice of, well, when you make the choice of type of flooring, that dictates the preparation, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Carpet, it's easy. You pull up the old stuff, scrape up the old pad, put new pad in, lay the carpet. But with hard surface, a lot more goes into it. You got to make sure that you got a nice, smooth floor. So you got to grind and float.
And is workmanship warranty something that someone should ask when they're doing a floor installation?
Definitely. It's common for most places just to offer up to about a year. I think that's the only legal obligation they have. Our contract carpet guarantees labor forever. 10 years down the road, if your carpet's bubbling, you just call us. We'll come out and fix it.
So I had just a little molding around my fireplace. You did not do this. It came with the house that we bought, and that came out. I just glued it down. I know it's going to come up in a couple of months, but you would have even come back for that had you done it originally.
Had we done it, we'd come fix it, absolutely.
All right. We have a fan question for you, Nick. You ready?
Fire away.
All right. Is one type of flooring much more expensive to install than others? For example, is marble much more expensive to install than, say, tile or laminate? That comes from, where'd that come from? That comes from Troy and El Cajon.
Absolutely. It's a good question. A lot of people don't understand it because, sure, this is a square tile, this is a square tile, one's marble, one's porcelain. Marble and any natural stone is very hard to work with. And when you cut them, they chip, they crack, they break. So it's just a lot more detail that goes into making sure everything's going right. So our guys do charge us more for the labor.
Nick, thank you very much. So consider
you.
that before you call Contract Carpet. Do call them, though, because the consultation's free. What are your takeaways, Greg?
Well, my takeaways they're simple. Number one, hire a professional installer. Don't use cheap materials, and ask about the warranty because, I mean, you can't beat a lifetime warranty.
All right. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Just remember, pick up the phone and call them.